Hoist the mainsail. Rotate your tires. And don't forget to gleam the cube.
Gleam the cube. Alright, one more time.
And don't forget to gleam the cube. Iced tea. Ice cube. Ice 9 kills. Vanilla ice. And icy. The icy...
Sorry. Try that again. Here we go. Where do we might just pick it up from the...
And introducing Icy Bear, the icy polar bear. Titanic on a skateboard. Cubed. Ice. 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 Baby.
All right. No. Cut. Can we stop?
What?
Come on.
What? No,
We've run this to the ground three
Running
times.
it to
Three
the
times.
ground.
Three.
We're jumping it off the ramp.
This is way too ambitious for what it should be. No, least ambitious episode, part 3. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, go.
You're not dreaming, you're listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast. I'm Mo, and I'm here with Larry and Curly.
I was gonna do that. He beat me to it. It's like, here's Mo and Curly and Curly.
Mo and Curly and Curly?
And also Curly.
Curly, also Curly. Well, there was Curly Joe, of course.
Did Curly Joe and Curly ever appear?
Oh, no, God. And Joe Besser. Just those three and no one else.
The 3 Curlies.
The 3 Curlies in.
And a baby.
Titanic on a skateboard.
Oh,
4.
no. Oh, no.
Thank you, AI.
Thank
Finally, we can have the 3 Curlies together.
Oh, yes. There we go. Wow, how did we know to do that? Boy, we are in the aftermath, or the afterglow, or the aftershock,
Gross.
afterbirth. Wow, a little bit of afterburn, probably too.
Was that with Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is in Afterbirth.
Come on. Hit the post, because I don't know the lyrics.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't know the lyrics.
I'm just dumbfounded by your singing there.
This is a special musical episode, apparently.
We haven't even got to the topic, and all we've done is like 3 musical bits.
No. So we are in the I guess the afterbirth of the least ambitious episode ever.
So unambitious. This episode is so unambitious that it's taken us 2 months. We were supposed to record this the day after we streamed, so we could be right off the high, right off the high. And it's like, nope.
Yeah, we're now like 11 months into the least ambitious episode.
Yes, 11 months into the least ambitious episode ever.
It's another 9 months. It's like, produced every 9 months.
It's interesting. It sort of shows the idea that like how important energy is to a project. Because I feel like it's like, even though it was at least ambitious, it was sort of elongated, you know. It got extended because of that lack of ambition.
Not getting any better.
So the project, you'd think the project would get smaller because of the lack of ambition. But
or cold water.
But the project got... Are we talking shrinkage now? Yeah. The project got just more unwieldy as we went along, and I feel like we just kept adding more moving parts to it. Don't you think?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
Oh, I think we had momentum.
Yeah.
And we continued with the momentum. And once we were done, we had to button it up. It just went for 2 months. It just Between sicknesses and cars and cat illnesses and
lots of stuff.
parent illnesses.
Real life. Parent illnesses, right? And real life stuff and
because you
separations.
guys started shooting it when I went out to California to pick up Storm for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And the episode almost outlived the cat.
Ouch.
Yes, in the alternate universe, yes, boy, that would have been horrible.
Yeah.
So I guess we need to specifically address that.
Yeah.
So Aaron has a little white cat, a Turkish van named Stormy, that we met this cat when we went out to California for a blind bargain. Yeah. And then it was just born.
Yeah.
But it liked Aaron. It kind of just hung with Aaron. But the idea is when the cat was big enough that Aaron would come back.
Yeah, Akiko was trying to get me to take her with us on the road driving back, and she was only like a month old at that point, and there was just no way we could film an episode on the road with a month-old kitten that was still being bottle-fed. And so Akiko made a deal with my mom that she would hold on to the kitten until I flew back out, and she would bring it to my mom's house so I could pick it up out there. And so they had to be 12 weeks old to fly. And so 3 months after we filmed The Blind Bargain, I flew back out to pick up the cat. And while I was gone, you guys decided to make the least ambitious episode ever.
Yeah, while Aaron was gone, we decided that who
show
needs
Aaron,
Aaron?
how it's done. Knock out this whole episode while he's gone for 2 weeks.
This whole what, one scene intro? I think we got four raps.
Four raps.
Four raps.
Four raps. And what's funny is so much time passed after those four raps were recorded that we didn't remember what we did.
No.
And we had to watch it all over again and to try to assess like what was the new content there. But I guess the other end of what we're saying with your cat is that your cat ate some yarn.
Yeah. I went to an eye appointment and someone was watching the cat and they left a bunch of yarn out and let the cat play with it, and the cat ate a bunch of the yarn, and she ended up having to have an emergency surgery in another state.
Yeah. So that was one of those things that happened.
Yeah.
And we had your car was destroyed, and
Both cars
were destroyed.
the Kia was gone too.
Dixie and I have been going through a separation, so it's just things have been super complicated.
She had to borrow her parents' van to take the cat to the surgery because both cars were in the shop at the same time.
Oh, God.
She was supposed to pick up the Kia being fixed before I dropped off my car. Mm-hmm. And then I dropped off my car and then found out that she never picked it up.
Oh, God.
And then it was like, oh, yeah, no, we need to get the cat to a surgeon tomorrow.
So in a way, it's kind of good because we showed our first cut of the least ambitious episode ever, and like I said, it was 2 months ago or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as a matter of fact, what ended up coming about with the first cut was that we had our weekly meeting, and we said we put a deadline on it.
Yeah.
And apparently we forgot, but we also had a second movie just in case as backup. But
the Bat was the second.
The Bat was the backup.
The Bat was the backup if we didn't have it ready. Yeah.
And we had gotten to the meeting like I guess a week before or something like that, and it was like, oh, I'm pretty much almost done with editing. If Aaron can edit, originally I was supposed to be editing the movie proper, but I'm like, if Aaron edits this movie, we can hit this deadline. Like it's not going to be a problem. Yeah. And we knocked it out of the park. We hit the deadline, and we knew that there was going to be some things that needed changing, especially like when it came to backers' names and stuff like that.
The backers.
Yeah, because I know you and I had talked in the car already. So you had sort of prepared me that I might need to cut the movie. Yeah. Because like that deadline, you were just like, if I have to cut the movie,
if I have to cut that movie, because it's like,
because we're editing 2 movies into a new movie that didn't exist.
Editing 2 movies into one movie, and I've never seen either of those movies at all. And then I had plans of like, we were making Three Stooges jokes. I wanted to put like Malice in the Palace in there and stuff, some like public domain jokey stuff, like when the dog dies, I was going to do the Mouse in the Palace bit where they're eating, they're biting the dog. The dog's in the kitchen. Yeah. So when he bites the dog, that kind of stuff. I was going to cut that in, but Never happened.
Well, and if you'd have given me like a list of that stuff, I probably would have found a way to work that stuff in there.
Well, I think for me it would have been like kind of the whole Zen kind of thing, where like that's the only thing that I specifically had a pretty good idea, only based off of because you guys kept saying, well, there's a dog that dies in this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that would be funny if I put that in. But everything else would have probably just been, if it came up, I'd add it. Or I'd think of it.
There is stuff from other movies in there, because I know I used stuff from the Lugosi and Karloff, The Raven, in there at one point. And
was that the maniacal laugh?
Yeah, it's like him looking down through a window laughing that looks like he's looking out the window as the bat's attacking someone, because he doesn't actually see that in the actual movie. Yeah. And it was like he had trapped Karloff in the floor below and then was taunting him after I think he had deformed him with the surgery or something. Yeah. And then I know there was something that the night before we premiered it, we had talked about, but we watched the episode without it in there because I had really wanted to have the bat swoop down and kill the guy from Devil Bat's daughter at the end.
Yeah, but it was going to take time to do.
The guy who was, there is a bad guy, a bad psychiatrist in the movie who's gaslighting the Devil Bat's daughter.
Yeah.
And of course, he never did anything. He was a good man, right? Which completely undermines the first movie. Makes no sense.
Well, and not to mention the fact that now that we're using these flashbacks of the first movie, so we're seeing him kill all these people using the bat.
Yeah.
And then they had their whole theories that like he had somehow reincarnated as the bat or something like that. So I just thought it would be funny to have the bat then swoop in and kill the guy at the end.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah, we were all on board with that after we watched it. Well, we screened it right before we actually streamed it. We screened it before we streamed it, so not 10 times fast.
Yeah.
And I think everybody was on board with it, and we're like, well, we got time. Well, we can add that later. You can add that later.
Yeah.
And then we saw it the night of the stream.
Because I thought it would take longer than it did, and I managed to actually get that done for the stream.
See what 2 months does to you?
Yeah. I stayed up like all night doing that.
It was great because it was like we hadn't seen it yet, and then we were watching it along with everyone.
Yeah, that was the first time. We were seeing it,
and I was dying when the bat swoops down because the guy gets, I think, shot initially, right?
Yeah, but he has a shootout with the guys, but I took out the shootout.
Yeah, so it just looks like the bat just swoops down and kills the guy out of nowhere.
They just run in and find him on the ground.
They run in and find him on the ground, and it's great. It's so great because it's so bonkers, and it's like it's really interesting because the first Devil Bat movie has zero mystery. It's like I'm killing everyone with this bat, and that's the whole movie. Like from the beginning, he tells what his plan is. He tells everyone what his plan is, and he just proceeds to just kill every single person on his revenge list with the bat, and that's all that happens in that first movie.
And then the bat kills him.
And then the bat kills him. And then in the second movie, it's like the daughter of the Devil Bat's daughter, she's like, okay, I want to learn more about my father. And then this psychiatrist is exploiting this trauma where she feels like she's the daughter of a murderer. And then, again, in that movie, they revealed that his father was a good man. He didn't do anything. And it's like, didn't you watch the first movie? This is not new. This is not just the Star Wars movies, right? Or the Michael Myers movies. It's like all franchises have all had this problem forever where they don't watch the movie that happened before it.
Now, I'm now remembering, did we end up adding to the end credits the whole... The Devil Bat will return and Jesse James meets the Devil Bat's daughter.
Yeah, I think we did.
Might be in the crazy credits.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I have to check.
Okay.
Because I think I remember typing it, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it is in the credits for the episode, not the credits for the movie.
Right.
Yeah, I know it's not in the credits for the movie.
With the question mark, yeah.
Yeah, because
I think I had that idea during the night we streamed the premiere.
Yeah. And I really was big on having the end with the question mark and then the laugh.
Yeah.
And kind of like the end of Flash Gordon, 1980 Flash Gordon. And Aaron delivered on that. So we should probably, I guess, fly off to a break and come back.
Sure.
All right. So we're going to... I don't know. Wise guy, eh? My first material possession. Oh, wait. All right. We'll be back with more Sleepless Knights podcast after this.
If you're seeing me right now, do not adjust your televisor. It's probably because your future horror host with a great hat is doing their least ambitious episode ever. I can't host a movie. On a day like today, you gotta fight Klingons, and reprogram computers, and talk to plants, travel through the multiverses.
Now available to own at cinemainsomnia.com/devilbat.
What? I was trying to make a bat noise.
Well, I thought we were still doing the three curly.
Yeah. All right, sure.
The two Stooges in a bat?
Wow. So there's at least three concepts happening on top of each other with this least ambitious episode.
Well, we never got to do the surprise. I guess we could do it now. Surprise! It's a Mr. Lobo does.
Yeah. So that was another thing that we had to keep that a secret.
Yeah.
So not only was it the least ambitious Cinema Insomnia episode ever, it was the most ambitious Mr. Lobo does episode.
Yeah.
So
that's an entire season of Mr. Lobo does.
It really was. It was like a secret season of Mr. Lobo does as an episode of Cinema Insomnia. Plus, we have a mashup of a movie that never existed before, made by Aaron. Yeah. So that was three really big ideas.
And then we had to make sure we didn't accidentally give that away while we were live streaming behind the scenes.
There was like, don't give it away. There was the longest time where it's like, Lobo, let's not tell Aaron. Just in case he accidentally leaks it. So there was a time where we were
Aaron loves to spoil. We know everyone who knows Aaron knows that.
Hey, by the way, this happened on Star Wars, and Mr. Lobo does is the next episode.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually I'm used to saying like MLD or whatever like that, or Mr. Lobo does, and it was one of those things where it was like trying not to say the next episode of Cinema Insomnia, Mr. Lobo does.
Yeah.
Or trying to stay away from the Mr. Lobo does, the least ambitious episode ever, because we just truncated the last part of that.
And even the title got truncated because the title's long too, because it's the father of the Devil Bat's daughter. Yeah. So I mean, it's already you already got a Secret of the Ooze level too long kind of title.
That was something that was funny because I started it uploading to YouTube today with the new cut that you gave me, and the title was actually too long for YouTube.
I kind of figured.
I think I had to trim out the father, down to just father of the Devil Bat's daughter, because they only allow 100 characters, and the title was like 101 characters long.
Being the person that usually comes up with the titles for the podcast, I'm well aware of the limitations of YouTube, because we have really bad titles.
Paul comes up with these titles that are like, and I encourage it, so it's not, I guess I'm to blame too. But they remind me of like Rocky and Bullwinkle, where the titles are like there's like 4 different jokes happening in the title of something. But in this regard, it's like there's almost kind of a weird like slightly every time you see the title somewhere, it's slightly adjusted. Like when you had to adjust it, I had to adjust it to make the thing I gave you today, the thumbnail for the Roku.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, and then on the Blu-ray case, which I designed, we finally got Dixie's art and we put that together in the Blu-ray case. Originally I just had the text across the bottom like we normally do, where it's like, least ambitious episode ever, father of the Devil Bat's, or I think I dropped the so it's just father of the Devil Bat's daughter. But then I'm like, oh wait, it's got to be Mr. Lobo does, but it's not Mr. Lobo does Cinema Insomnia's, because that's really the name of it. Mr. Lobo does Cinema Insomnia's least ambitious episode ever. So, and the DVD already says Cinema Insomnia across the top.
I mean, if you want to get technical, it's Mr. Lobo does Cinema Insomnia's least ambitious episode ever, the father of the father.
Right. The father of the Devil Bat's daughter. Right, that's all the title. And even on the Blu-ray, the official Blu-ray, I had to truncate that even there in a different way, because the Blu-rays all say Cinema Insomnia across the top already. So, and then a lot of times it'll be like Mr. Lobo goes to Monster Bash or Mr. Lobo goes to RetroCon. Like we've done that a few times. But then I thought, well, wait a second, this is Mr. Lobo does. It's also a Mr. Lobo does, so I felt I needed to incorporate the logo.
Right.
So then I brought the logo on the bottom and into the title. So it says Mr. Lobo does the logo, and then it says our, I think it says, or maybe the least ambitious or our least ambitious, because it already says Cinema. Our Cinema Insomnia logo is already across the top. And then Father of the Devil Bat's Daughter, which I believe we dropped the. So again, even on the official merchandise, we had to make adjustments to accommodate this really stupid title.
I feel like we're gonna do merch. It's gonna be like Weird Al Yankovic's T-shirt that I got at his concert, where it's just text all the way down, and it goes all the way down the back because he had this really long, like the name of the thing, where it's like Weird Al Yankovic's. We're not playing the hits that we know. We're playing the original music. It's totally original, and it just goes on and on and on. And that's the title.
Run-on sentence. That's the title.
It's a huge thing, and it's printed on both sides of the shirt.
Monty Python had an album where it was like the album of the soundtrack of the trailer of the film of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, right? And it said all of that on the front of it, and it took up so much real estate. And so this is again another joke where a joke within a joke within a joke, where we have this really funny kind of long title, and it's so long that even we can't handle it within the things we have to do, because it won't fit on a DVD cover. YouTube won't take it. Who knows how Roku feels about it. Roku, I think we've got a little more leeway with, right?
Yeah.
I had to change it on the thumbnail though for Roku.
Yeah.
So I don't think the title appears exactly the same in any.
I have the feeling when it goes to Monty Python or Weird Al Yankovic, they're like, we've got marketing people to deal with that. That's their problem.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what we want.
Yeah, they're not in Photoshop trying to fit the in there. Yeah.
It is funny to imagine Weird Al Yankovic at his computer trying to fit it onto the T-shirt.
Yeah.
He's making them all in his
making
basement.
the T-shirt in his basement. And Paul's a close personal friend of Weird Al Yankovic.
I am.
Yeah, isn't everyone a close person? Isn't that how he signs all his autographs? A close person. You're a close personal friend.
I think it just says Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, really?
I
thought you told me that story where he says to my close personal friend. I thought that was something that he did for everybody.
I know Kevin Smith says like hugs and kisses or something.
Oh, okay.
On his autograph. His autograph.
I have one from him that says, "You are my God."
You are my God.
Wow. Is that because of the Star Wars? The
Phantom Menace.
But the what is it
Well,
called?
and
Magnolia cut.
Yeah, and I think also for getting him back the rough cut of Clerks, because
Oh,
Muse
wow.
gave it to me.
Wow. So how did you have the rough cut of Clerks?
Jason Muse traded it to me for a bootleg of some cut scenes from Star Wars back in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
And so I had the VHS tape, and they went to do the 10th anniversary DVD and put the Sundance cut on it, and they're just like, it's not here. And they couldn't find it anywhere, and I was like, okay, I know where it is. And so I contacted, back then I think it was the News Askew forums.
Wow.
Like,
You probably talked to Ming. Most likely. He ran those.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
so you guys are
I
both
was
like
like,
Kevin
no,
Smith fans.
Jay
I'm
gave
sort of
me
out
this
of
at a
that.
con. And so they gave me the tape back afterwards, but they transferred it for the DVD. So it's really funny that I can take that DVD and the VHS tape and put them on two inputs on a TV, and they're the same.
Same. Wow.
But yeah, so he had someone bring by a Clerks 2 poster when I was working at Dimple Records that was just signed by like the whole cast.
Going back to Devil Bat's Daughter, when we first started talking about, we watched Devil Bat and we watched Devil Bat's Daughter, and I think we were in agreement that we needed to watch Devil Bat's Daughter first, because that contained flashbacks in it, and then we felt that we could always insert more of the devil. There's already a format there.
So we kind of cut the flashbacks that were there and had it actually flash back to like extended footage of the first movie.
Yeah, and I think we pretty much knew that was going to be where it begins. And then the other thing that was kind of important, and is the air conditioning gonna? No, this is fine.
I don't care.
Well, the other thing that I wanted to do was to combine the credits in some way.
Oh yeah.
And so what was really funny is initially, like, I took a still of the opening credits of the Devil Bat, because the Devil Bat had nicer credits than Devil Bat's Daughter. Devil Bat's Daughter was later in the 40s or something, and it was even cheaper than Devil Bat, which is a pretty cheap movie. And so the credits weren't quite as nice. The Devil Bat credits had like this kind of I would say catacombs or
And it's like a big bat in
a
the
mausoleum or something, and then there's a big bat in the corner, and then all the credits went on top of it. There is not a single frame of it that exists without that background.
Yeah, so you had to paint out
So-
the credits from a few different screens combined together to
Right.
get the clean plate.
So I painted out the parts. I painted out all the text, and I had a nice clean background, and I made new credits. And my thought is that Aaron would combine them with the original credits. Had I known, I could have created an entirely different background.
yeah.
Didn't have to match the background that
and
already
it didn't
existed.
occur to me that you wanted me to pull the screens of credits from the first one either. And so I just made a credit sequence with the pages that you made.
Yeah, so-
Not realizing there was a page or two from the original movie that you wanted to put in there. So that we didn't fix that until
Yeah, so I just ended
Officially
up
today.
And then the other thought was, Aaron's thought is that it would look better if they were all just remade anyway. So I just remade all the credits.
Yeah, because I was, and I think that's why I didn't put it in initially, and we hadn't talked
Didn't
about
match.
it. Was that like all of the new credits have like a filter to make it look like old film with dust and scratches, and a certain level of jitter. But when you cut back to the actual movie's credits, that's going to be inconsistent, and so you'll be able to tell that there's a splice there.
So at least the credits are completely based on the original credits. But they were all completely remade. But
Yeah.
it's funny because we painstakingly took that background
Yeah.
out of the original credits and put new titles on it.
Yeah. Well, and then I know you changed some stuff to the new credit screens that you had me add in too. Because, I'm pretty sure I wasn't credited in the original demo.
No,
pad, but I am now.
I credited Aaron, and it's funny because it's like Aaron and I have a stupid joke for credits.
Oh, yeah.
and then Paul and I have almost the same stupid joke for credits. So in the wraparound, it's Samuel L. Bronkowitz.
Oh, yeah.
Which is taken from Kentucky Fried Movie.
Yeah.
It's Samuel L. Bronkowitz.
Which we always use in the Mr. Lobo Does kind of movie spoofs that we've done.
So it's Samuel L. Bronkowitz and Alan N. Smithy, which is a character that I created when we launched OSI. So it's those two doing that. And on the other side, on the movie side, it's Alan N. Smithy and Alfred Hitchcock. Hitchcock misspelled and Alfred Hitchcock. So
if you read it fast, you never notice.
Yeah.
And I'm at the live stream, you're like, Alfred Hitchcock. And you're like, no, read that again.
yeah, it's not Alfred. It's Alfred.
People always just see Alfred Hitchcock for a minute.
So
It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, but Hitchcock's not spelled right either.
Yeah.
So, and we had been doing that.
Yeah.
We went to that well, I would say 2 or 3 times with Alan
I know
Smith.
the Dracula, the fake Dracula trailer has Alfred Hitchcock in it.
Yeah.
I know there's at least 1 or 2 others too. Yeah.
So it's kind of funny because, in a weird way, Paul is Samuel L. Bronkowitz.
Yeah.
I'm Alan Smithy.
And I'm Alfred
And
Hitchcock.
you're Alfred Hitchcock, right? So it's weird that we all 3 have a nom de plume for our jackassery, right? And that we independently came up with almost the same joke on 2 different sides, on Paul's side and on your side.
Yeah.
So I think that's really funny. So I definitely wanted to have, and I can't remember, I wanted to...
Bride of the Ape, because I forgot we made a trailer for that.
Yeah.
Because that's actually where the Alfred Hitchcock name first came from. Because the original idea for Bride of the Ape was to do a whole movie.
Yeah.
And the title was Alfred Hitchcock's Bride of the Ape.
Yeah.
And I think it started the idea of making it an Alfred Hitchcock thing and taking a bunch of his public domain movies and cutting them together and make something awful.
Yeah.
And then at some point, it just had that. I think it was first to misspell Alfred to make it Alfred, so it's somebody else.
Yeah.
And then by the time we did the Dracula trailer, because I think that's the first place we used it, we misspelled Hitchcock also.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think people were catching the Alfred thing,
Yeah.
so it's like I needed to use the second typo.
Yeah. Well, and in the whole joke with the Dracula trailer is it's all illiterate anyway.
Yeah. Dracula spelled wrong.
Yeah,
too.
Dracula spelled wrong. But yeah, so that was really bizarre. That was a really bizarre thing. But yeah, I just thought it was really funny in watching again the least ambitious episode ever. I'm like, oh, it's like Paul and I are doing this joke here, and then Aaron and I are doing this joke over here.
Well, the history of what's his name? Yeah, Samuel Bronkowitz was that when we did our movie spoofs, or we were parodying movies, which started with Valentine's Day. Mr. Lobo does Valentine's Day,
which is very cinematic.
Which we're spoofing Pretty Woman, if nobody knew that.
Yeah.
And so I looked at the title sequences, and that's how it runs. Where it's a dip to black, and then there was these things, and I just needed a producer name, and it's just like, well, we both love Kentucky Fried Movie, that would be the thing. And it's funny because then when we get to Halloween spoofs Halloween. That's how the Halloween thing, and I'm like, I've already established this in Valentine's, let's just carry it over again.
Yeah.
And then come to this one, now we're spoofing Back to the Future, which is cut the same way. And still has the same beats.
Yeah.
Well, and then it was just funny that, like, we both independently had spoofed Back to the Future with Cinema Insomnia episodes. Because one of the RetroCons.
Yeah, because of the DeLorean and the RetroCon, we have the year and the
fonts and everything were the same.
Yeah, so it's weird that we kind of Cinema Insomnia sort of dips into the Back to the Future universe.
Yeah, because Lobo ends up stealing the guy's time machine from RetroCon to go back and try and stop himself from hosting an episode.
And I think I left that can in the...
Oh, yeah, you did in Mr. Fusion.
In Mr.
Coffee
Fusion.
Cup, right?
Oh, coffee cup. Yeah, coffee. I left the coffee cup inside Mr. Fusion.
One day Tom will find it.
Yeah. But anyhow, so when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the least ambitious episode ever. But
or will we?
Or will we? Maybe this is the end.
We'll see. Complain about Andor.
Yeah. See you never.
Hurry, hurry, hurry. Join us live in the stripy tent of Twitch every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. Tune in early for our lead-in pre-show. See the amazing Wolf Boy and other sideshow freaks from your favorite misunderstood movies. See the mysterious and clinically depressed Harbinger.
He died!
See the pantsless bearded clam.
You know, I do have a name.
Join your ringmaster of ceremonies, Mr. Lobo himself.
Why do you get to use your real name?
Clam up, Beardo, and get back on your stool. And a revolving door of special guests to help present an episode of Cinema Insomnia in a way you've never seen before. It's strange. It's bizarre. It's obtuse. It'll change your life. It's Cinema Insomnia on Twitch. CinemaInsomnia.com/Twitch.
Hey, can somebody check on Aaron?
So, least ambitious episode ever, we talked a little bit about the crazy credits, and Paul had a ton of crazy credits at the end, too, and you ended up kind of dropping a lot of those.
Yeah,
right?
well, the original run, because we got concerns, well, we were concerned about, like, trying to keep it within a certain time, and, just at least for broadcast reasons, we wanted to keep it within a certain time. If we did it for DVD, it didn't really matter. So I had done what was called what I was dubbing the passive-aggressive credits, where the editor or whoever was creating the credits was just holding everybody up and just like refusing to let it die.
Sort of Python-esque, where it's sort of like whoever's making the credits their personality is coming out.
Yeah, the joke is just like, oh well, I'm not going to do this. Oh well, like. The union's called. Now I have to give this credit. But that's all you're getting.
Yeah.
Oh, this person called. Well, now I have to do this. Oh, all right, fine. And then you get this quick whip of false credits where it's like, I've got tenure, you can't fire me, F you, and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then the real credits eventually play.
Yeah.
But the problem I had was that because we were constrained with time, or we were trying to cut it down, and I felt like this was by this point people would probably be checking out that to get the actual beats for that to actually play out was not playing out really, really well. And I kind of really picked that up on the stream, where it's just like, okay, it's
in watching it, you just felt like it didn't play the way
this
you
is dragging
thought.
a little bit more, even though it's supposed
we have a scene at the end too, a cut scene, a post-credit. Thank you, post-credit scene. And the other thing too is that I think with the credits that Aaron had done, even though you had sort of more Mr. Lobo does flavored end credits.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Cinema Insomnia end credits, the backer names were featured very strongly,
right?
And that was like a concern where it's like, well, this is a totally different style, and I'm feeling I don't want the people who backed this episode to feel like they're getting less than
right. Which I think that was the first thing was like, oh well, here's the backers, fine, here's this, nothing else,
and it was funny,
and that's how it worked out.
Yeah, it was funny, and I think that probably our fans have enough of a sense of humor to go, oh, okay, they just sort of slapped our credits up last minute in a different style and with not much care. I think that they would get that joke, but there's possibility that there would be one or two people that maybe wouldn't get that joke and feel a little bit like they didn't get their money's worth.
Right. And I kind of wanted to get people to that post credit too.
Yeah.
Once we're kind of layering a joke on top of a joke, and it's just like, eh.
And the post credit is really interesting. This whole setup of Mr. Lobo Does is really interesting because we've been listening to the older podcasts, and again, we've been doing this for 7 and or 4 years,
40, whatever.
I don't know however many. What podcast years? Nanoseconds. We've been doing this for so long.
Sorry,
nanoseconds. And with 2-year breaks in between. Because I feel like we do the podcast for a year and take a 2-year break, and then do a podcast for a year.
We did it like 2 years
break.
the last time, and then took a 2-year break.
2 years on, 2 years off. Maybe it's closer to 2 years on, 2 years off. So some of these episodes we don't remember, and I have kind of spotty, foggy memory also. So, but when we were listening to, which episode was that?
That was it was What If. I don't remember what the episode number is, but go what W-U-T.
Yeah,
go back and look it up. We had pulled it for our stream.
Am the washer. Yeah.
And I remember being funny, and I remember being jokey. And Aaron and I were talking right before the stream where it's like, I think What If season 3 was coming out or should be out soon. So it would be a good time to tie that into something.
Yeah, so we put that on, and the setup is almost exactly the same.
We're like, God, we didn't even remember this.
Yeah.
Including a post credit.
And wasn't there an alarm clock and everything?
There was an alarm clock. It was about it's about alternate universes, which Mr. Lobo Does. Least Ambitious is about alternate timelines.
Yeah.
Because the Washer is talking about in the regular timeline, you perform a award-winning podcast and stuff, but we're not in that universe. We're in this where these two jackasses are just slacking off.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
You start the what if episode in bed.
Yeah.
You end it in bed.
In bed.
And so does Least Ambitious.
Yeah, and at Least Ambitious I'm in bed, and then I've got like I don't know where did I decide to bring in the megaphone? Was that something that
I think you decided to bring in the megaphone.
And I thought because Paul was like, okay, like he's gonna have like he's gonna yell cut, and then we're gonna hear like crew and everything.
We're gonna make it sound ambitious, but it's not. We're gonna keep true and not show it.
Yeah. So I thought, well, if there's supposed to be a crane shot, and Aaron and I had been talking about Blind Bargain.
Oh yeah,
the techno crane and Blind Bargain, and I thought, well, that would be fun for an in joke is to kind of call back to the ambition of that movie.
Yeah.
Because that movie was overly ambitious in a lot of ways, where they went at great expense to do things that nobody else would do.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be fun to have the techno crane calling in for the techno crane, and then Eric Sabo has his yellow fever mobile and all that stuff, and so I just thought I would call out a bunch of different things, and then I was saying dancing girls and elephants.
And elephants. And
did you make sounds for some of those things?
I looked up sounds.
Did you find elephants?
I found elephants. some stuff we recycled. I think the yellow fever mobile. That's just this whatever sound effect I used from Mr. Lobo Does Monster Bash, where you're pulling up into the in the Dragula.
Right. Yeah, the Dragula.
It's the exact same thing, because I would recycle some of the sound effects just to kind of do the inside.
And I'm assuming we explained Mr. Lobo Does in the other 2 Least Ambitious.
At least somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's I guess it's self-explanatory. It's just me taking on different topics in character.
Yeah.
And in this case, we took on ourselves. And so there's a lot of references in the episode to other things we've done, things that that you and I have done together, Paul and I have done together, things that Aaron and I have done together, things that I've done on my own. It was a lot of kind of like, it was very, and maybe just because we're looming in on the 25th anniversary of Cinema Insomnia, it's a very reflective episode. There's a lot of things playing back, even kind of making fun of my quote unquote friendship with Elvira, which, you know, I mean, it's like I know her and she knows me, but there's always that distance there. She has her entourage, and you know, I might have a phone conversation with her once a year or maybe an email, you know. So it's not a thing like we're really tight buds or anything like that.
Right.
So I kind of made fun of that a little bit with the Elvita character.
Mm-hmm. And the other carryover from Mr. Lobo does is it's a singular idea that we never scripted.
Yeah,
I would just come to the house and be like, here's this idea. Let's do solar eclipse, and we would just maybe discuss it right before we shoot it, and we shoot it, and that was it.
Yeah, and I guess that we did talk about. I am remembering that we did talk about the Zen filmmaking of it, which is a totally different style than Aaron.
Yeah, very different.
Aaron, I think gets
a control freak.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I'm glad you said that. But yeah, Aaron likes to know exactly what we're out to get beforehand. He's a little more on pre-production side of things, and you know, usually it starts with Aaron and I watching the movie, sometimes more than once.
Yeah,
writing the episode. And in your case, you never saw the
movie until we watched it right before streaming.
So
like, is this what this is?
So this is different.
So your first time seeing the movie was the two cut together.
Yeah, when we all sat together and watched it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he has.
Which I feel like we get. I feel like this has to be expressed during the commentary.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron and I talked about creature features, where I guess they don't watch the movie. And I had brought that back to you at some point later on after we've already shot this, where I almost kind of like that idea where I'd rather be fed the information, because then I just work off of my toes, and then
it is interesting because that is a style of hosting. Count Gore is like that, and the only reason Count Gore was like that is because those films were on 16mm film, and the only way they ran on the night at the station, and then they went out over the air. So unless, like, Bob Wilkins had a 16mm projector in his house, he could take the reels of film home, watch the movie, and write material. But Count Gore didn't do that. So, you know, he never saw the movie. So he knew things about the movie, and he knew what the plot of the movie was, but there was never any really specific wrap ins, wrap out. It was usually the movie was taken on as an inspiration for the theme, and he would toss out to the movie and toss back, and really he had his own self-contained storyline with what he did. And I kind of feel like the stuff that I've shot with you kind of follows that kind of hosting a little bit more, where the movie is kind of providing a theme. Although with Clean House episode, it was the reverse. The theme came first, and then Aaron had to go find a movie that would work with it. But Aaron is such a psycho that he found a movie that was so perfect for it that you can't really divorce the movie from it.
It's supposed to be generic, and no, it's no longer generic.
No, it's not generic.
It's forever associated.
It's forever. It's just this Clean House, Red House episode, and that's just how it is. So there is a curse of doing a generic episode, and that is a really interesting thing, because I always thought that, you know, that was another thing, that a style of hosting where, you know, they just have the same wraparounds and then they interject a different movie. And Grandpa Munster is the other. all right, Igor. You know, what's that movie? Oh yeah, that's it. That's my favorite movie. And he would do this. So this was Al Lewis as he's just on a green screen. Yeah. There's no set or anything. And he calls for a movie that he doesn't know what it is. And then he was on like over 100 video cassettes introducing different movies. And it's the same intro every time. And he's like, okay, Igor, what's that movie? And he puts his hand to his ear. And then there's supposed to be like a person who dubs in like Carnival of Souls. Oh yeah, yeah, that's right, Igor. Okay.
And I think like only maybe the first couple volumes had the voiceover, and then they just like forgot.
Right. So then it's like, all right, Igor, what's that movie? And it's like Garfield minus Garfield.
Yeah.
It's like nobody says anything.
And the pause is so long.
And the pause is so excruciatingly long. And then he's like, that's it, Igor, that's the movie. And then the movie starts. So that's one style of hosting where, again, it's...
So is it Frozen Dead where we finally showed that in an episode just to set up that joke?
Yeah, because Rad Abrams ends up hosting Cinema Insomnia.
And he does that.
And he does that.
But I remember when we were watching that, we were like, was the pause always this long? And it's like, we were both like, are we sure I didn't screw with it to make it longer? And it's like, nope, that's how long that pause was.
That pause is really long. And he's just like smiling and grimacing and shuffling his shoulders and waiting for, you don't know, he's not hearing a damn thing. So that was something that we had done in homage to that particular style of hosting, but we've never really done that for ourselves. There's never really been the Godzilla Smog Monster episode. That was intended to be a generic, and that ended up being a lost episode where there wasn't a high quality enough version of it to
and it's really weird because at one point the raps were going around because it's like there are a couple fan episodes where they put it around other movies. But we've never been able to find somebody who has those raps.
Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, so so that is a really odd aspect of the show is that we whenever we've tried to cut corners, it's bit us in the ass.
Yeah.
And that's a strange thing because the show is so ambitious and much more ambitious than any other horror host
and
show.
And it's at a point now where I was like, I get snippy as soon as you try to cut a corner because I know somehow it's going to be more work later. Because I've seen you react to it as soon as I get irritated with the cutting a corner.
But I do feel like we could just have a bump once in a while. We don't necessarily have to have I don't have to wrap in and wrap out every single time. But I think
for that reason is why we incorporated just plain out regular bumps in recent issues.
Because I feel like there's so much wraparound material that we're now at a point where there's 25 minutes of wraparound material is a light episode.
Yeah,
and sometimes we have up to 45 minutes.
Didn't this one have 60 or 70?
How much time of host material?
I believe it wasn't like an hour and 15 or something?
Yeah, so it was like 70, 75 minutes.
We have a whole movie's worth of just host material. The host material is longer than the cut of your cut of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, because I believe we had this all edited before the movie even started getting cut. So we're like, here's the timeline in and out. So with all the little the interstitials and everything, minus commercials. It didn't even have the commercials yet.
Yeah, wow.
Because I did the commercials, I think, after the movie.
We'll talk about the commercials and the interstitials and all the other bells and whistles and snouts and hooves that go into the least ambitious episode ever when we come back.
Gathered together from the cosmic legends of the Sleepless Knights Patreon backers, in this great hall of justice are some of the greatest uber fans of all time. Super Michael Housel, Wonder Anita Gale,
whose idea was it to do both sound effects and music at the same time?
Generic John McCallum,
I'm generic.
Aquabendale, Bat Fangarius, and Winter Scrap, the Boy Wonder. Token minority hero Eno Dia. And David Ramey. Together with our current super fans. If you want to join us for next month's recording, it's cinemainsomnia.com/pODDcast with 2 Ds, or Gift memberships are available if you'd like to embarrass a friend or loved one. We'll see all you super uber members in segment 5. Now let's get back to the show. Meanwhile...
Hour and 15 minutes of just host material.
And that's just off my head because it's been 2 months. I have to go back and look at it.
I think you're right, though. No,
I knew it was over an hour.
I remember it was over an hour, but I didn't know if it got cut down. But there was, even if it got cut down, there was at some point an hour.
I don't think there was very much that did get cut down.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know one thing that did get cut down, and it was actually Aaron's influence that cut it down, was that damn ending, that final one, where we knew that there was going to be a lot. You had to, like, establish all this adventure that happened off camera.
Yeah.
And it was just like, if I'm going to use broken image after broken image after, this is not going to play well.
Yeah, let's explain that really quick. So I believe this is 11A, right?
11A or 11B.
And I've got the Viewmaster.
Yeah.
And I just came back, fell out of a portal, which I don't remember that portal being there.
It wasn't. That's post.
That's incredible. So
because I'm like, we've used this all along. Why aren't we using this now?
I acted like I fell out of a portal, but there wasn't any green light there on set.
I guess to backtrack even further, when you do see the portals on screen, I'm operating a green light off camera.
Yeah.
In addition to it being augmented in there.
Yeah.
There are 2, maybe 3 scenes that actually don't have that light.
But they added it. Yeah. So anyhow, so the green light comes in. I drop in. I'm all in the Apocalypse Lobo gear,
and then when you went in, you guys had the oven mitt, the rubber infinity gauntlet.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then while we were shooting that stuff, I was like, you know what? I have the infinity gauntlet at home.
We all hopped in the car.
Yeah, so we drove back to get it.
Yeah, so when I go in, I've got the rubber, the oven mitt infinity gauntlet, or the infinity oven mitt. Yeah. But when I come back, I've got the real infinity gauntlet. I
recall the discussion going, how bad do we want this? We had to shut everything down for about half an hour to go get this. And I think it was consensus that it's needed.
Yeah. Nice bit of production value.
Yeah, and then I know like the one thing that I wanted to do that was just too much time that got overruled was just that the stones all light up in it, but the watch batteries were dead and all the stones. So I was like, we need to run down to like Target or something and buy watch batteries.
It was getting late that night too, I think.
Yeah.
Target might have been closed.
Yeah.
It was really close.
But this was supposed to be, I guess, sort of, I wouldn't say the punchline, but an important punchline of I've been avoiding adventure for the whole episode. I'm trying to take a day off. I don't want to be bothered. And then I've got this moment where I have to go on an adventure. It's mandatory. Mm-hmm. And then that might be 11A. And then when I come back, it might be 11B.
Right.
And that's also how we label the shows. The wrap in is the A and the wrap out is the B. So every piece of the movie, every segment of the show is named after the reel, whatever reel.
Yeah, and
there's
11 reels.
And there's 11 reels to an episode, and a floating reel, which is the intermission reel. Which happens usually between 5 and 6. So I come back, and then we want to convey that I've had this big adventure without showing it.
It's like it's a punchline, but we still have to honor the fact that it's least ambitious.
So it's got to still be big, but it's got to be small. So it was this sort of contradiction of terms. But I had written this enormous amount of lore, and we even asked for people in the chat to come up with ideas for it, which we have a couple of people like Fanger who could write Lobo fan fiction all day, all year.
And if I remember, he wrote way too much, and we had to figure out what you wanted to name. Because it was like you asked him for a couple lines, and he came back with just like paragraphs.
Yeah, and I really said, well, I kind of like this. I like this name. I like this thing, and that was it.
I think somebody shouted out, I was like, just put it in a comic book.
So we had this segment here, and the initial idea is that there was just every time I showed a picture in the Viewmaster, which was our version of a data disk, some kind of virtual data disk player. We always sort of play off of that with the Viewmaster, and the little Viewmaster disk is the data disk, and it goes in there. And I hit the switch, and then when it cuts to what I'm seeing, it was just going to be broken image. I think it was going to be broken image after broken image, and just my voice carrying it.
I think because my original pitch was that we were going to do this in 3, and by the time we shot it, it was like we're going to do this in like 11.
Yeah.
There was like 11 shots, and I'm like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot to show broken image after broken image.
I remember when he was reading it, and I was just like, is this just going to have nothing the whole time?
Yeah.
Because it's going to get old.
And
I mean, this is where Aaron kind of kicked in his.
And I feel like, I guess that I was thinking that it would be, but again, I guess that's a different joke if it's a sort of Python-esque anticlimactic sort of thing. It is a little bit that, but not to that degree. We're not pranking the audience to that degree. I think the consensus was there might be too much bad will created by
Right.
dragging that.
We promised so
Especially
much.
when
We
it's-
promised so much at this point, and
Yeah.
then the joke is that there's no joke. The joke is still a letdown.
Yeah.
And then to make them sit through that letdown for 20 minutes.
Well, and I know it reached a point where, like, I was musing the idea of creating the images for the viewfinder slides, and you're like, no, we're not going to do that. That's too ambitious.
Your idea was that you were going to create them with AI.
Yeah.
You said during the shoot, she says, if I was directing this is what I would do. And both Lobo and I shot you down because we're like, well, no,
Too ambitious.
Too ambitious.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I think when
'cause-
it came back around to the edit, and I think even before the edit, because I was talking to Lobo the next day, and I'm like, Aaron has a point, but instead of like the full motion AI, what if it was just stills?
Yeah.
And the stills just deteriorate over time. It just gets worse.
Yeah.
So like you seeded the idea that we eventually did use, and then and then I think Lobo added
that idea works for the idea better. It's funny that.
And then I think Lobo added into the idea is like, well, what if my thumb, like, what if we did the AI image and my thumb's over the lens and you can only see part of it?
There's the one where he's just like in a rudders.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just flat out. It's a rudders.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah. And that's a weird thing too, like things that became sort of in jokes, like because of the Rudders bag, that we just happened to have a Rudders bag in the studio.
We ate lunch right beforehand.
Yeah,
I think you were just
so-
like, keep this bag.
And then I get like my cheese sandwich or whatever through the time portal. And, then of course we call back to it where some of the photos you can kind of tell if you're really observing.
You squint, even though like, they're upside down, or I tried to make them. I tried to make the images look like outer spacey, so that's why they have like this hue over top of them.
Yeah.
But then there's like scenes of the movie, and it still has the hue.
I like those shots from the movie. What's fun is that there's some shots that are in the Viewmaster that are not in the movie. Like you don't see them because they're
I
from...
edited the movie after you did this first, and we weren't comparing notes at that point. So I know there's the one woman that you credit in the credits still from the movie who had been completely excised from the movie, but she's in the still.
But at least she gets credit.
Yeah, so you gave her credit.
I mean, the funny thing is Lobo picked Elvita because the girl in the movie wore
a maid
outfit, but she's never in it. But she's in the slideshow.
Yeah.
And then we get to recall the Elvita joke by censoring her. Because I believe before I just had like a cheese sandwich and then I put a censor bar over the cheese sandwich. But once I got the image, I'm like, oh well, she's doing that. We can recall that joke and just put the censor bar over top of her.
Yeah, it's really weird, some of that stuff, a stream of consciousness stuff, which I always really love stream of consciousness for Cinema Insomnia in general. I remember when Aaron was first editing, I was sort of talking about editing the show and how I liked there to be which Aaron's really good at understanding other people's styles of things. And being able to imitate them. But, he had watched a couple of episodes and I had sort of explained, I guess, this idea that it's sort of the commercials and things are not just random, that there is some sort of a connective tissue of one direction or another. So there's a little bit of stream of consciousness with a lot of the
which I feel like
material.
At this point, I take that further than the earlier episodes.
Much
did.
further.
Yeah, where the commercials are all very much intertwined with the movie and the host segments now.
Yeah, much further.
Yeah.
I think that's just an evolution.
Yeah.
I think that
it's some like subconscious thing that I do where it's not even like planned, it just instinctively comes out now.
Sometimes I resent it because I feel like you're trumping my joke. like I'll make the joke and then you'll find a commercial where they make that same joke better than what you did. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. Now it just seems like I'm setting up this commercial. I thought I had a great, really original, smart joke, and Aaron somehow found the only corner of the planet where someone did the exact same joke.
So let me get this right. Not only do we rip ourselves off and forget about it, we rip off commercials that we don't remember.
I mean, I don't think I think in a lot of those cases I'm not ripping. I don't think I'm unconsciously ripping
Just
off
happen
those
to have
commercials.
the same.
I think that Aaron
same
has a
insight.
somewhat encyclopedic memory of things and will find things. He'll riff off of something that I'm saying, and he'll find something that's very apropos or similar.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, I'm going to drop these matches on the floor. Quick, tell me how many there are. I was waiting for him to say those aren't matches.
Those aren't matches. And don't give Aaron matches, by the way.
I was just trying to make a Rain Man
But yes,
Yeah,
I
no,
got it.
I got the
Wapner
reference.
Are
is
you
starting.
sure?
Wapner's is
Wapner?
yeah,
10 minutes to Wapner?
10 minutes to Wapner, yeah.
Excellent driver.
Excellent driver. So, again, I feel like all of our styles have kind of, and I think this is sort of probably why there needed to be a least ambitious episode ever, is that all of our styles have evolved. It's like Paul has kind of this, I feel like you're very lore centric, like you love to kind of build on ideas and build and build and build. And I think, again, Aaron has this kind of encyclopedic, he's really great at finding like the interstitials and editing the movies and adding things into the movies that never were in the movies, or creating whole beats of a movie that, you thought were in the movie, but it wasn't really there. Things that like scenes we'd like to see sort of stuff, and things that we could never predict.
I loved in the Visitants when we were homaging the effects of the movie, and then we went back and watched it, and the effects weren't in the movie, and so we made the raps way more technologically advanced than the movie
the
itself.
effects in the raps were better than the effects in the movie.
Because we were doing the way we remembered it being when it wasn't actually shown on camera.
I think that's another aspect, and an aspect of both of you is you both are somewhat, I don't want to say frustrated filmmakers, but I feel like
No, that's about right.
That's fair.
so I
No
feel
arguments
like
here.
if
Maybe
there-
underselling it.
So I think that there, if there's an opportunity to do something a little bigger, you want to take that shot, and hopefully, we provided some places there where you guys have been allowed to do good work. I feel like you both have done some of your best work on the show. But it's a really interesting thing and I feel like my style has evolved so much. Like if you watch like the first season of Cinema Insomnia and how like quippy and minimalist it all was. It was almost like it was this concept of, which I sort of borrowed from Devo, was sort of like a reductive synthesis. It's like, how much can you take away and there still be a show? So it wasn't really about adding very much. It was about how much can I take away? Okay, I can be just a black background. I can just hardly move and I can talk.
Reel 3, the movie doesn't even spool up; it's just color bars for 8 minutes.
So there, it kind of starts from almost a negative, and then I have taken on not only like an evolution of my own style, but I think I've created 5 different versions of myself that all have different styles, where there's Alan Smithy and there's 70s Lobo and there's Apocalypse Lobo and there's, and I think that just I've matured and my humor's changed. So I think that the combination of us, I think like we've kind of inflated it so big that it's really hard, intensely hard to bring that vision in, to sort of beat it into submission and bring it in to something even remotely least ambitious. In a weird way, we're kind of trolling ourselves. We're kind of making fun of ourselves by calling this the least ambitious episode ever.
Well, it started as making fun of him. It started as a joke, and it just evolved into an episode.
I mean, we've had...
And because, like, there've been every episode in a row for a year or two where it's like, this is the most ambitious episode ever.
I mean, that's where it came from. Where it's like I'm here and I'm switching, and it was like every week there was the most. We were introducing the film, which was the most ambitious, and it was like every single one. And I'm like, when does this end?
It's like a wrestling pay-per-view. It's the greatest event of all time.
Well, and again,
what you gonna do?
I think with the studio and with the group of people that we have, we just had a lot of opportunities to try things that were bigger than we've ever had done before.
Yeah.
You know, I think the Cyberpunk special was one of those ones. I think that both Super Turtle episodes are like that. Of course, Ghastly Love of Johnny X, I feel like was almost like a movie. That was one where I felt like Aaron was filming a movie, and Paul was even trying to take it further than where Aaron was willing to take it.
Yeah.
Paul really wanted it to just be a movie. And I'm like, Paul, we don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
We don't have 20 days to shoot this.
We're losing daylight. Yeah. We have this location for today.
Yes. So ambition is an interesting thing. And I feel like, we're all artists. We're all mentally ill. We're all dangerous, especially when unchecked, and especially when there's no outside imposed limitations of what's, when I was with KXTV, we had a stopwatch, and we always joke about bringing the stopwatch back, but I mean, we had like these very and when I went into syndication, it's like we need to have these many commercial breaks, this and that. Now that we're self-produced, we just can go fucking crazy.
You have been listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast, or should we say, pODDcast.
Oddcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Dead House Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else, and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at
patreon.com/Sleepless Knights podcast.
Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Knights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
Oddcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.